So we are asking Right Honorable Raila Odinga and ODM to do the right thing. Enter holy matrimony, political holy matrimony with the Kenya Kwanza regime, and that is drawing a post-election coalition and depositing it with the Registrar of Political Parties. Calling it an MOU doesn't take away from the fact that they have joined government. Let them do the right thing, free the watchdog committees to parties committed to be in the opposition. Yes, I'll be running for president. I've already stated so loudly and unequivocally in Kenya, but I'm also saying because we are crafting a united opposition where we hope to have a mechanism to front a single candidate.
When we talk about political resistance in Kenya, the names that dominate the headlines are usually men. But every once in a while, someone breaks the mold. Someone who doesn't wait for a seat at the table but brings her own chair and flips the script. Tonight we'll be talking to the party leader of a new political outfit called People Liberation Party. She's a former member of parliament, a justice minister, a former presidential candidate, and the only person bold enough to walk out on President Moi at the height of his regime. Martha Karua didn't just make history, she rewrote it. Honorable Martha Karua, karibu sana to the OneMicShow. Can you hear us, Honorable Karua?
Loud and clear, and thank you very much for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. How are you feeling tonight, Honorable Karua?
Well, I'm feeling good. I've rested. And I'm in company of friends after I leave the show.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, before we proceed, Honorable Karua, I want to say that we had planned for a full 3-hour show, but your team contacted us a few hours before the show and told us that you have less than an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So I want to check in with you first to confirm how long we'll have you so we know how to proceed. Is that correct? We have about an hour with you. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
3 hours would be too exhausting for somebody who crossed the Atlantic only the other day. Yeah.
Okay. Understood. So you've been in the U.S. for a couple of days so far. Now, just briefly tell us where you currently are, because most people don't know where you are, and what you've been up to for those few days that you've been in the U.S. Honorable Karua.
I'm in Boston. Northampton to be specific, and I'm here to engage with diverse people. Yesterday I had a lecture at Smith College, and I'm going to have engagement with Kenyans around Springfield tomorrow. I have several engagements arranged in Boston, and on the 8th I'll go to Washington, D.C., where I'll have similar engagements, and an engagement also at Howard University. I will have engagements in Delaware, and I'll come back to Massachusetts for one more engagement before flying off to Atlanta, where I'll spend 2-3 days and then head back to Kenya. My mission is to engage with diverse people, as I have indicated. It's also to engage Kenyans, and not only to discuss the situation in Kenya, but also to promote my book, Against the Tide.
Okay, all right. So a number of things there. So you have a couple of engagements in various universities that you've mentioned. You're speaking and engaging with Kenyans, and then you mentioned a book, and let's just briefly talk about that book, Against the Tide. What exactly is this book about? Because most of our listeners, most of the people who are tuned in, have not read it. So, Honorable Karua, please tell us in a few minutes what the book is about.
This book is my memoir, and it talks about my journey I actually call it Against the Tide, My Journey on a Less Trodden Path. So it's sharing my experiences with the people, hoping that it may inspire some. It may also help some to avoid whatever mistakes that I have made. In Africa, we are used to sharing our stories through oral tradition. But in these days of the written word, that has changed to writing memoirs and sharing in written form so that your experiences may be shared by generations. That's exactly what I have done. And that's what the book is about.
Okay, and is this book already available? Has it already been launched for people maybe who want to buy it?
It was launched in Kenya on the 17th of November, 2024. It is available. Physical copies, we do have some, but it's also available on Amazon. So it's widely available.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're tuned into the OneMicShow, and live from the state of Massachusetts is Honorable Martha Karua, and she's talking to us about her trip to the U.S., what has brought her to the U.S., what she's going to be doing. She has mentioned that she's going to be in D.C., in Maryland, in Virginia, and she'll also be in Delaware, and she'll also be going to Atlanta. And we're going to be in the comment section. We're going to be posting links of where she's going to be, so that you can, those who want to talk to her or those who have any questions for her, will have a chance to do so. I just want to quickly come into the studio to the members of my panel here. And let's remember, we have Martha only for this hour. So real quick, I'm going to start with you, DJ Moshfire. Karibu sana. And maybe just one burning question that you had for Honorable Martha Karua.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be asking too early, but I'll go for it. Karibu Mheshimiwa, are you going to be running for president come 2027? And if not, why?
Yes, I'll be running for president. I've already stated so loudly and unequivocally in Kenya. But I'm also saying, because we are crafting a united opposition where we hope to have a mechanism to front a single candidate. I'm going to work very hard to be that single candidate. But in the event I am not, I'll be ready and willing to support whoever else is nominated as an opposition candidate, knowing that Kenya is greater than any one of us. I've also stated that I will not be a running mate. If I'm not the candidate, I will wholeheartedly support without necessarily being a running mate. But we are putting Kenya first, and I'm ready to put Kenya first.
And not Kenya Kwanza. Kenya first.
I'm saying Kenya, the needs of Kenya first.
Okay.
We must be able to throw out this illegitimate, rogue Kenya Kwanza regime.
Okay. Now, before I introduce, Mika, who's also on the panel, there's another question that has been coming, that has been bubbling amongst people in the diaspora. You are in the past election, you were Raila Odinga's, the ODM leader's running mate. But things happened, and we now have what's referred to as a broad-based coalition or a broad-based government. Of course, he's saying that ODM has not joined government, but people feel a different type of way. So when you're talking about an opposition coalition, is this gonna be in the groups that are outside this broad-based arrangement, or is this also gonna be inclusive? Because people in the broad-based arrangement are saying that they're not in government. They've just donated some people to help. Honorable Karua.
I think everybody can see through that. On one hand, my former presidential candidate, Raila Odinga, will say they are not in government, On the other hand, he will front an MOU that says how they're going to govern together. So it's clear that one leg is in the opposition, one leg is in government, a situation that is untenable. The Constitution is very clear that there has to be lines drawn between the majority party, which will be the government party, and the minority party, which would be the opposition. And there is serious reason for this. Members of the opposition are the ones that are supposed to chair the watchdog committees, namely public accounts and public investment committees. There are 3 of each, so 6 committees of parliament. When ODM refuses to clearly choose whether government or opposition, it means they continue to head watchdog committees that should be with parties in the opposition, parties like Wiper Party, like DAPK, like the Jubilee Party, the Uhuru, the group that is led by Uhuru Kenyatta, groups that are clearly in the opposition. So they have, by that refusal to be clear and to follow the law, the ODM has reduced accountability in Parliament, has destroyed the check and balances in Parliament. So we are asking Right Honorable Raila Odinga and ODM to do the right thing. Enter holy matrimony, political holy matrimony with the Kenya Kwanza regime, and that is drawing a post-election coalition and depositing it with the Registrar of Political Parties. Calling it an MOU doesn't take away from the fact that they have joined government. Let them do the right thing, free the watchdog committees to parties committed to be in the opposition. That's all that we are saying.
Okay. Want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the OneMicShow, and we have Martha Karua live from Boston, Massachusetts, talking about Kenyan politics. We have Mika on the other side. I don't know whether, Mika, you can hear us. Mika, I'm going to give you a minute or two to talk to Martha Karua, ask her a question. Remember, we have Martha only for this first hour. Mika, och twende kazi.
Thank you, Ali. Good evening, Honorable Martha Karua. It's a pleasure to have. So it's a good pleasure to have you at the show, and we really appreciate you giving us time. Since we have a constraint of time, I had a lot of questions, so just to have a good discussion. But I will stick to the current situation of what's happening, or maybe take us back to a year ago, when we had the demonstrations that started happening in the country due to the finance bill, and the GenZ demonstrations, as we saw, which led to where we are right now, with the president running and offering a hand, trying to shake hands with Honorable Raila Odinga, and also the impeachment of Honorable Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Now, Kenyans really don't know what is happening. All we hear are vague statements of the country was being overthrown. There were rogue elements that were trying to hijack the GenZ demonstrations. But while we can see clearly, the GenZ demonstrations it was just a mass tiredness of people who decided to go to the streets and fight for their country, because they'd seen from the leadership of the Kenya Kwanza regime the corruption and the opulence to rub that corruption on their faces. So you, as somebody who is in the political circle, what really happened or is happening in the country right now? Are these just statements that are being thrown around to legitimize this marriage, or did something happen behind the scenes in the country?
What I would say is that you have correctly pointed out that the Gen Z were fighting against massive corruption and opulence. Their bylines were transparency and accountability, and they wanted it across the board, both in government and in the private sector, and that's why they were saying occupy churches. They didn't want religious organizations condoning large donations that fuel corruption. They wanted corruption weeded out of our lives. So when somebody says that they went to help Ruto, it is true. They went to help a crumbling government, which amounted to fighting the forces that wanted to free the country from the yoke of oppression. It is an unfortunate thing that after leading the Azimio demonstrations, which Raila did courageously and well, he forgot all about the suffering of the people and decided to help Ruto. And helping Ruto is not the same as helping Kenya. You help Kenya when your actions go towards redeeming or helping people to achieve their goals. People want to be freed from oppression, from extractive behavior by the KK regime, taxing people beyond where they can be able to continue with their lives, taxing people beyond where they can endure. And one of the principles of taxation is that you must tax people in a measured way that they can be able to pay the taxes. The taxes that Zakayo is introducing, if I may call him by the name Kenyans have given him, are taxes that are taking away food from the plates of families, taking away education for members of the family, taking away health. In other words, overburdening Kenyans to where life becomes unbearable, while at the same time destroying the quality of services delivered to the people. The people would expect, with heavier taxation, to get better access to health, to get better access to education, to have security improved and their rights safeguarded better. The youth would expect that the economy would work and there would be jobs. All these things are absent. Kenyans are crying. They want the payslip liberated. They want health liberated from SHA-SHIF falsehoods. They want education liberated, capitation paid on time, university students given their loans, not under the so-called new model that is discriminatory, but under a model closer to help, where everybody got support for university. So in other words, what has happened is that Ruto has been helped to continue oppressing Kenyans without paying attention to the cries during the GenZ demonstrations of transparency and accountability. He's actually become more and more opaque, and it's there for everybody to see.
Oh, okay. Now, very well explained. A question here is coming from Pablo Nzengo, all the way from California. Pablo starts by saying on YouTube, and welcome to all our YouTube friends. I can see why Rimo, you're there. Karibu sana. Pablo is asking, Pablo first says, I admire my learned friend, the Iron Lady, Honorable Martha Karua, always tough and focused. So Pablo has two questions. The first one is, she has been critical, Martha Karua has been critical of the current administration. What specific measurable changes would she want to implement that would set her apart from the current leadership? And then the follow-up to that, Pablo is asking, many candidates make promises during campaigns, but struggle to deliver once in office. What makes you different, and how will you ensure accountability for your commitments? These are questions from Pablo from California. Honorable Martha Karua, back to you.
Thank you very much, Pablo. One of the things is that I would immediately ensure that the rule of law prevails. And where the rule of law prevails, corruption will not be tolerated, and things will have to be done in accordance with the law. I keep saying our constitution is actually the operational manual for our republic, our beloved republic. It says in detail how to utilize public finances, to utilize effectively and with prudence, and putting the needs of the people first. It has instructions on what type of leadership to consider for the country, and that is value-based leadership as opposed to transactional leadership. It has instructions on every aspect of our lives. Where there is rule of law, institutions work. The judiciary should do its work, the legislature and the executive. And disputes between the people and those in authority and between amongst the people themselves will be resolved in real time. Therefore, we would ensure that there is a good environment for doing business, for the economy to thrive. Instead of additional taxes, prioritize essential services, cut wasteful spending, which was called by the earlier questioner opulence. Cut the opulence. The state should not fund opulence for a few leaders. It should fund services for the people. Our constitution in Article 43 sets out the basic needs of the people, which the state must ensure the people enjoy. And that is health, education, housing, and infrastructure. Things like water, electricity, roads, etc. Those are the things that we must fund first, and not guzzlers for the leaders or fund their opulent lifestyle. That is what People's Liberation Party, PLP government would look like. That's what a Martha Karua administration would look like.
Okay.
We would liberate the people from the yoke of oppression and consider their needs first before anything else.
Okay, asante sana, Honorable Martha Karua. The number to call, we're going to give an opportunity to one or two people to speak to Martha Karua because we have a very, very short time with her. So the early bird will catch the worm. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We're just going to give you about 1 minute to ask a question. While we're at that, Jimmy Onkangi, karibu sana, Jimmy Onkangi all the way from Texas. Jimmy Onkangi has put a very good schedule of Miss Martha Karua throughout the U.S., the places where she's been and the places where she's going to. So if you go through the YouTube comments, Jimmy Okangi has them there. Jimmy Okangi, asante sana.
Can you put it on Facebook?
Yes. Jimmy Okangi, if you can jump on Facebook also and throw that schedule there.
Somebody's asking about it.
Yeah, because a lot of people here are asking how they can meet Martha Karua, how they can get their book signed. Some people have already bought the book. The name of the book is Against the Tide. It's available on Amazon. Don't start asking for a free copy. Don't asking for a copy at Yali umenunua nipatie nisome. There's you can go buy it on Amazon, and I think it was only, how much was it? Mike, you saw it?
So there are several. There's the Kindle, there's paperback, and there's hardcover.
Okay.
Chaguo ni lako.
Na
Okay.
kuna ile audio. Ile
Now she can tell us.
Ile mheshimiwa amesema yeye ndiye amesoma kitabu.
Kuna audio.
Audio bado lakini iko njiani.
On the way.
In no
okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm available to do audio for you.
Ebu weka your voice. Welcome to the OneMicShow.
No. Yeah, you'll make people not buy the book. Yes, but anyway, and Sam Rakia is saying he's listening from Boston. Karibu sana, Iron Lady. Now, another quick question here before, because time is really running out, before we forget. People in the diaspora always talking about broken consular services. There's an issue, like recovering lost passports and just even basic services like getting an ID. There's been issues, and especially because of the lack of what we call mobile outreach or mobile consular services, because it's been talked about and it's been implemented to a certain extent, but it's a once in a while thing. It's not something that is consistent. We have cities like Atlanta where you're going. There are so many Kenyans. Cities like Houston and Dallas, they are completely unserved. At least up at DC, we have the embassy. We have
in LA, we have the consular.
We have a mission in New York, and then we also have a consulate in LA. But the United States is a very big country. You've traveled here multiple times, Honorable KARUA. So what will a KARUA administration do to address this? Because this has been a pain point, president after president, for a very, very long time for Kenyans. Honorable Martha KARUA.
I think it's a matter that has to be addressed, ensuring that consular services are accessible, and with it also when it comes to diaspora voting, ensuring that people do not have to travel very long distances, and considering the cities that have a concentration of Kenyans. I think to be able to do this, we have to use our resources prudently. But a broken system can only offer broken services. And the Kenya Kwanza administration is a completely broken system that cannot offer services to Kenyans or even to the diaspora. This would be rectified by a KARUA administration.
Okay, so it will be rectified by KARUA administration. So you had it from her. Again, the number to call, people still asking, is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We will only give an opportunity to one or two people to speak. Is there a call already? Not yet. Okay, so number is 202-683.
They'll start calling when we're on the tail end of the interview.
Yes, I know that's what normally happens. Yeah. Now, we have Irungu Horton, all the way from... he's in Los Angeles right now. I did not even know he was in the United States. He's tuned in. But Amnesty International, I know most of you who watch Kenyan news, Kenyan media, are familiar with Irungu. He's been very active, especially on this issue of killings and abduction. So his question to Martha KARUA is, if you're elected in 2027, how would you deliver justice for the killings and abductions that have already happened?
And for those who may not know, he was present at Mehdi Hassan's interview of Kimani Ichung'wah.
Yes, the famous interview on Al Jazeera. We're not going to talk about it, but go watch it.
But go watch it.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa.
Hi there, Irungu. I would ensure firstly that the culprits of the abductions are brought to book, because you never can bring this to an end without making sure that those who carry out these heinous crimes are prosecuted and that they are brought to account. Secondly, by ensuring that through the constitutional mechanisms available, victims are compensated. And people do not necessarily have to go to court, because we have the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, which is empowered to assess what needs to be done. And I'm happy to remind the listeners that I have been in the case that the Law Society has taken to court against the Inspector General of Police and other security chiefs on abduction. And we have participated in that case robustly. The judgment has been postponed for the second time. Supposed to be on the 21st of March, postponed to the 4th of April, and now postponed to the 11th of April, when I do really hope it will be delivered. So human rights are at the core of the People's Liberation Party and one of my core beliefs, and we would ensure that people enjoy their human rights unhindered.
Okay, Irungu, I hope your question was answered. And People's Liberation Party used to be the party leader of NA Kenya. And I think Pablo was asking this question before. Did NA Kenya transition to People's Liberation Party, or is this a whole new outfit altogether?
We rebranded, so we changed the name officially, and we also changed our colors. we remain the same people committed to the interests of Kenyans, committed to social justice, committed to human rights and civil liberties. And with the rebrand, we renewed our commitment to always work in the best interests of the people.
Okay, all right, that's a good answer. I'm gonna read one comment here from YouTube, and then Mike is gonna go and read some of the Facebook comments. Sijawasahau watu wa
Facebook ni mob, but in
yeah, Jimmy Okangi is asking, Ali, can you post the number to call in? A lot of people calling saying you're saying the number too fast. So the number is 202-683-48570.
Translated.
202-683-4570, and then remember to press *5 to
now
speak.
slower.
202-683-4570.
Thank you.
Press *5 to speak. We're gonna give a chance only to 1 or 2 people. So if you're
We
not
already
the
have a
first one-
caller.
we already have a caller.
Yes.
Okay.
From Toronto, but
do you wanna read? Do you wanna read the comments? Because a few comments from Facebook.
let me read the few comments, then we'll take that caller.
Okay.
So karibu sana, we've got Mwakisia Mgendi Bri, Esther Mulusa, Slay, you welcomed all those. Yakobo Simba telling us we are behaving, we're not asking questions. Or Paulette Njeri Mwirore was asking, where is she meeting Kenyans in DC? And I think Okangi is going to
Jimmy Okangi is gonna post them on the comments.
on the comments,
Yes.
hopefully.
Okay.
Yakobo Simba has a question. Maybe you can note this down, then you can answer when I'm done. Ask Mheshimiwa a top policy she will institute if she is chosen. Then we have Esther Mulusa says, in a system that works, wananchi should be busy working but not following leaders and their unhealthy politics. Kenyans politic full-time from election cycle to election cycle. The leaders and the electorates are both the problem. We don't have issue-based parties. They are tribal and individual-based parties that are fluid, always merging and disbanding. We have Kaiser Soze all the way from Canada, who is a Jamaican, and I think
Who loves Kenya?
who loves Kenya.
Yeah.
And
I think in his mind he thinks it's Kenya.
He wishes he was born Kenya.
he is Kenya.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's
In
Kenya.
his mind, yeah.
All right.
With some
We
African
welcomed him.
some African countries now offering descendants of enslaved Africans from the transatlantic slave trade permanent residency and in some cases citizenship. Will your Kenyan government join this movement? Karibu sana. And there are very many. Lloyd Osunga, Karibu sana. People's Liberation Party. What happened to NAC Kenya?
We answered that.
Yeah,
That
that
has
was
been
already
answered.
answered. Yeah.
As the Justice Constitutional Minister in the NAC government, would it be unfair to say that there was not a single corruption prosecution? That is Lloyd Osunga, all the way from Jersey. We take the call?
Let's take the call. I hope Mheshimiwa has been noting. I can see she's been noting down the question.
So let's take this
so
call
let's take
because
the
of the
call.
time constraint.
Yes, and then she'll be able to answer all of them in one go.
Okay. What happened over here?
So what's the last 4 digits of the caller?
I think we have a situation over here. Let me see if this is going to work. 0721.
Welcome to the OneMicShow.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. No, we cannot hear the caller.
Okay, I think I have to do this again.
Okay. All right.
So let her answer. While I
Okay,
sort this
so go ahead and start answering those questions as we sort out the phone situation. Honorable Martha Karua.
Yes, I was asked what one policy I would institute. Economic policy, that having an economy that works for the people, not overtaxing people, and making sure that the taxes collected work for the people. Currently, what is happening is that the state has been repurposed to serve only the ruling class. Taxes are increased, they are not commensurate with the services. Services are decreased, and the opulence of the ruling class goes a notch higher. Also borrowing loans that are not going in for development, that are again wasted. So I would institute an economic policy that works for the people, grows the economy, and grows jobs. Now, someone has said that there's tribal parties and tribal politics. I may not fully agree with that, but I would invite every Kenyan, including the questioner, to join political parties of their choice, to help build those parties through appropriate policies, and to help institutionalize those parties, because a government is as good as the political party that forms it. Come, help us build formidable political parties that are governments in waiting and that are ready to redeem our country. The party cannot be built by the party leaders alone. It has to be by the membership. Now, I may not, sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting.
You have a doctor's
Let me wear
handwriting.
glasses.
She must be a doctor.
You must be a doctor.
I think she's a doctor in another life.
in another
I was
life.
meant to be, but I became a lawyer. But a lawyer is a doctor who deals with the pains, legal pains.
Yeah, and
There you go.
as your
So,
as,
to that extent,
yes.
I am a doctor.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I already indicated that we would liberate the economy. I have seen the other question. Will Kenya government offer
Descendants.
descendants of slaves citizenship? I think it's something worth considering, but the greatest emergency in Kenya today is to deal with the issues affecting Kenyans and to get the country running as a going concern, to fix this very broken system. And that would be my priority, but this is something worth considering downstream. I was also told that as Justice Minister, no prosecution happened. May I first enlighten the questioner that the Justice Ministry in Kenya, as it has existed from time to time, is not a prosecuting ministry. The function of prosecution firmly remains in the Attorney General's department. It is a disconnect because the Ministry of Justice becomes a coordinating and a policy ministry. My work was to articulate the government's policy on the fight against corruption, on the administration of justice, minus the powers to prosecute or coordinate prosecutions, which were in the office of the Attorney General. And there was always a disconnect between my office and that of the Attorney General. And you can see eventually they scrapped the ministry. And one of the reasons I resigned is because we were at loggerheads with the government that I served over the manner in which corruption cases were dealt with and other economic crimes. I felt we were not fighting corruption properly. I was articulating the fight against corruption without any results. So that is a disconnect, and which I would rectify in the arrangement of ministries, making sure that the Ministry of Justice, the Minister of Justice is also the Attorney General. That's what happens in countries like Uganda and Ghana in order to have the work streamlined.